Let me ask you something. When did you last actually watch your cat drink water? Not just assume they did, but actually sit there and watch them go to their bowl and lap it up. If you're sitting there trying to remember, that's already a problem. And here's the thing. Most cat owners have no idea that right now, at this very moment, their cat could be slowly heading toward one of the most painful, most expensive, and most preventable health crises in all of feline medicine. I'm talking about urinary problems, crystals, blockages, bladder inflammation. And the terrifying truth is, the number one root cause of all of it isn't genetics. It isn't bad luck. It isn't even age. It's water. Or more accurately, the complete and total lack of it. Your cat is not drinking enough water. And before you say, well, my cat seems fine, that's exactly the trap. Cats are hardwired to hide illness. By the time you notice something is wrong, you could already be looking at a $2,000 emergency vet visit, or worse. But here's the thing. There's something incredibly simple you can add to your cat's routine today, literally today, that can change everything. And no, it's not some fancy supplement you've never heard of. It's something most of you probably already have in your kitchen right now. We're going to get into all of it. The science behind why your cat refuses to drink properly, what that's doing to their internal organs right now, how to test your cat for dehydration in about 15 seconds using just your fingers, what to actually add to their water to make them drink more, and the exact setup changes that veterinary professionals recommend for maximizing your cat's hydration every single day. Stay with me. This one could genuinely save your cat's life. Okay, so first things first. Let's talk about why cats are so bad at drinking water. Because once you understand this, everything else starts to make complete sense. Cats are desert animals. That's not a metaphor. Domestic cats, the ones curled up on your couch right now, are direct descendants of the African wildcat, a creature that evolved in one of the harshest, driest environments on Earth. And in that environment, there weren't exactly clean water bowls sitting around every corner. So cats adapted. They learned to get almost all of their hydration not from drinking, but from eating, specifically from the raw prey they hunted, which is naturally made up of about 70 to 80% water. This is why your cat has what scientists call a low thirst drive. Their bodies literally never evolved a strong signal that says, hey, go drink some water right now. In the wild, they didn't need it. The moisture came built into their food. But here's where modern life has completely broken that system. Because now, millions of cats are being fed dry kibble, food that contains somewhere between 6 and 10% moisture. That is almost nothing. And their bodies still aren't sending out that strong thirst signal. So they just don't drink. And they don't drink. And they don't drink. And their urine gets more and more concentrated. And that concentrated urine starts to become the perfect environment for crystals to form. And those crystals irritate the bladder. And the bladder inflames, and you end up at the vet at midnight, wondering what just happened to your healthy-looking cat. Here's a number that should wake you up. Between 4.5% and 8% of all cats that visit veterinary practices have feline lower urinary tract disease, also called FLUTD. That umbrella term covers everything from bladder infections and inflammation to crystals, stones, and life-threatening urethral blockages. And male cats are especially at risk because their urethra is significantly narrower than a female's. A blockage in a male cat isn't just painful, it is a medical emergency that can be fatal within 24 to 48 hours if untreated. According to the American Veterinary Medical Association, urethral obstruction can cause a cat to pass little or no urine at all, and they become increasingly distressed as the hours pass. The toxins that should be leaving through their urine back up into the bloodstream. It is as serious as it sounds, and it is largely preventable. So before we talk about what to add and how to fix this, let's talk about how to know if your cat is already in trouble right now. Because here's the uncomfortable reality. Your cat may already be dehydrated and showing zero obvious signs. Cats are masters in hiding weakness. It's a survival mechanism. In the wild, a sick or weak animal is a target. so cats instinctively mask discomfort until they physically cannot anymore. This means that by the time your cat is clearly acting unwell, the dehydration can already be moderate to severe. But there are things you can check at home, right now, and I want you to actually do these. The first test is called the skin turgor test, and vets use this in clinics every single day. Here's how it works. Gently pinch a small fold of skin at the back of your cat's neck, between the shoulder blades. Lift it up slightly, then let go. In a well-hydrated cat, that skin should snap back immediately, almost instantly, like a rubber band. Now, if that skin returns slowly, taking 1, 2, 3 seconds, that's a warning sign of mild to moderate dehydration. And if it literally stays tented, just sitting there, not going back down, your cat needs veterinary attention today. The second test involves the gums. Gently lift your cat's lip and feel the surface of their gums with your fingertip. Healthy, hydrated cat gums feel slick and moist, almost glossy. They should be pink. If those gums feel dry or slightly sticky or tacky, that's a sign of dehydration. And while you have your finger in there, press gently on the gum until the spot goes white. Then release. The pink color should flood back in under 2 seconds. If it takes longer than that, the circulation is sluggish, and that's a serious red flag. The third thing to monitor is the litter box. A healthy cat urinates 2 to 4 times per day. If you're cleaning the litter box and you've noticed fewer clumps, smaller clumps, or urine that seems darker or stronger smelling than usual, that is concentrated urine. That is your cat's kidneys desperately trying to conserve water because there isn't enough coming in. Darker urine means more minerals per unit volume, and more minerals means higher crystal risk. Other signs to watch for include sunken or dull-looking eyes, a coat that looks less shiny than usual, reduced energy or interest in play, and decreased appetite. Any combination of these, alongside less frequent urination, should be taken seriously. If your cat is straining in the litter box and producing little to nothing, especially if they're crying or going in and out repeatedly, stop watching this video and call an emergency vet right now. That is a potential blockage, and it is a life-threatening emergency. Okay, now let's get into the part that you came for. What can you actually add to your cat's water to get them drinking more, and why does it work? This is where cat behavior science gets really interesting, because it turns out your cat isn't being difficult when they ignore their water bowl. They're actually being biologically consistent. Cats in the wild would have drank from streams, puddles, and running water sources, not still, stagnant pools. Still water in the wild often meant contaminated water. So your cat's instinct, hardwired into their DNA, is to be suspicious of water that isn't moving. Their whiskers are also incredibly sensitive, and a bowl that's too narrow or too deep creates something called whisker fatigue. The sides of the bowl press against their whiskers, and it's genuinely uncomfortable for them. So they walk away. But here's what changes the equation: flavor, aroma, movement. And here's the beautiful part. You can hack all three without spending a lot of money. Let's start with what you can add to the water right now. Number 1, low sodium bone broth. This is probably the single most effective and most veterinarian recommended hydration additive for cats that exists. A few drops of cat-safe bone broth, and I cannot stress this enough, it absolutely must be free of onion, garlic, and high sodium, as those are toxic to cats. Added to your cat's water bowl creates an irresistible aroma. Cats are smell-driven creatures. That savory scent is like ringing a dinner bell. They'll investigate, they'll start drinking, and here's the thing, they often don't even taste the difference after a sip or two, but they've already gotten the water in. The powdered bone broth options designed specifically for pets work extremely well. Make sure the powder is fully dissolved before serving, and many owners find warming the water slightly first makes the powder dissolve better and the smell even more appealing to cats. Number 2, tuna water or clam juice. This one has been recommended by veterinarians and feline health specialists for years, and it works. Drain a can of tuna packed in spring water, not oil, never oil, and add a small amount of that liquid to the water bowl. The key word is small. Start with about a quarter teaspoon per bowl and see how your cat responds. You can also use clam juice from the grocery store. The goal isn't to make your cat's water taste like tuna. The goal is to add just enough of that scent to make the bowl interesting. Most cats who previously ignored their water will make a beeline for it. And if you really want to maximize this, freeze tuna water into ice cubes and drop one into the bowl. The combination of movement, cold temperature, and flavor hits multiple instincts at once. Number 3. Low sodium chicken or beef broth. Same concept as the bone broth. Must be free of garlic and onion. Must be low in sodium. Add a small amount, think a teaspoon or less, and let the aroma do the work. Some cat owners mix a bit into dry food as well, which accomplishes two things at once. It gets moisture into the meal, and it makes the food smell even more enticing. This is a genuinely underutilized strategy. Number 4. A small amount of goat milk. This one surprises people, but cat-specific goat milk available at most pet stores now is different from regular dairy milk. Many cats are lactose intolerant when it comes to cow's milk, but goat milk has lower lactose levels and is generally much better tolerated. A small splash added to water or served separately as a supplement can add hydration plus some nutritional benefit. Use this in moderation and always observe how your individual cat responds. Number 5. Cucumber or watermelon water infusions. This is for the cat owners who want something a little different. Both cucumber and seedless watermelon are safe for cats and are extremely high in water content. You can place thin cucumber slices directly in the water bowl to create a mild infusion that some cats find interesting. Make sure cucumber is washed thoroughly. For watermelon, remove seeds and rind and blend a small amount with water. These are gentler options for cats with sensitive systems. Now, a very important note. When you're adding any flavoring to your cat's water, always keep at least one bowl of plain fresh water available as well. You never want your cat to be in a situation where the only water available is flavored water they might not want that day. Options are always better. Now let's talk about the setup around the water, because this matters enormously, and most cat owners have no idea they're accidentally making their cat less likely to drink. First, location. Where is your cat's water bowl right now? Is it right next to their food bowl? If so, move it, today. Cats have a hardwired instinct to keep their water source separate from their feeding area. This traces back to their wild ancestors, who understood that dead prey near a water source could contaminate it. So if your cat's water bowl is sitting right next to their food dish, their survival brain is telling them something might be off about that water. Move the water bowl to a completely different area of the house. And while you're at it, move it away from the litter box as well. No one wants to drink next to a bathroom. Not humans, not cats. Second, quantity and placement. More is more when it comes to water sources. The recommendation from veterinary professionals is to have multiple water stations throughout your home. Bedroom, living room, kitchen. Different areas, different rooms. The more water sources are available, the more often your cat will encounter one on their natural roaming routes through the house and take a few sips. Convenience is everything with cats. If drinking water requires effort or a trip to another room, a cat with a low thirst drive simply won't bother. Third, and this is a game changer, bowl material. Plastic bowls are one of the hidden enemies of cat hydration. Plastic is porous. It holds on to bacteria and odors even after washing, and cats with their extremely sensitive noses can detect that even when you can't. Switch to ceramic, stainless steel, or glass. Stainless steel in particular is easy to sanitize and doesn't hold smells. And make sure the bowl is wide and shallow. shallow enough that your cat can drink without their whiskers touching the sides, eliminating the whisker fatigue problem entirely. Fourth, temperature and freshness. Change the water at least once a day. Cats can detect when water has been sitting for too long, and in their mind, stagnant water equals potentially unsafe water. Even if it looks clean to you, your cat's nose knows. Some cats actually prefer slightly cool water. A single ice cube in the bowl during summer months can make a surprisingly big difference. And fifth, the water fountain. If you are serious about increasing your cat's hydration and you want a tool that works on autopilot, a cat water fountain is the single best investment you can make. Here's why. Cats instinctively prefer running water. That preference dates back to the same survival logic we talked about before. Moving water is fresher water. A fountain mimics a stream or a natural water source, triggering your cat's instinct to drink. And study after study, alongside mountains of veterinary anecdotal evidence, confirms that cats with fountains drink more water more frequently than cats with static bowls. The flowing water is also kept oxygenated, which actually improves the taste. And most fountains come with filters that remove impurities and odors, making the water even more appealing. For cats on a purely dry food diet, for male cats who are at elevated blockage risk, for cats with any history of urinary issues, a water fountain is not optional. Now let's talk about food, because this is the other half of the equation that most people completely miss. Remember what we said earlier. A cat's body is designed to get most of its moisture from food. So the most powerful hydration tool you have isn't actually a bowl or a fountain. It's what you're putting in your cat's dish twice a day. Dry kibble contains somewhere between 6 and 10% water. That's it. Wet canned food, on the other hand, typically contains between 70 and 80% water. Let that sink in for a second. If you're feeding your cat exclusively dry kibble, they're getting a fraction of the moisture they'd naturally consume. And because their thirst drive is already blunted by their desert ancestry, they're not compensating by drinking extra from the bowl. Switching even partially to wet food, or adding wet food on top of dry kibble, can make a dramatic difference in your cat's daily water intake without them having to drink a single extra drop from a bowl. Veterinary professionals consistently recommend wet food as part of managing and preventing urinary tract issues, kidney disease, and chronic dehydration. Wet food has been described not just as a food choice, but as preventive nutrition for cats prone to urinary tract disease. Now, if you have a cat who is completely addicted to dry food and refuses wet food, don't panic. There's a workaround. Add water directly to the kibble. Start with a teaspoon of warm water mixed into the dry food. Let it sit for a few minutes so the food absorbs the moisture. Many cats will eat it without any fuss. You can also mix in a small amount of warm, low-sodium broth instead of plain water to make it even more enticing. Over time, you can gradually increase the amount of moisture you're adding. Alternatively, add a small portion of wet food alongside the dry, placed as a topper or a side. Let the cat pick at both. Even getting 20 or 30% of their daily calories from wet food dramatically improves their moisture intake. There are also products on the market specifically designed as food toppers or broths for cats. Things like the Tiki Cat Broths product line, which comes in pouches and can be poured directly over dry food or served as a standalone drink. These are essentially flavored, nutrition-enhanced moisture supplements designed for cats who aren't drinking enough. They work exactly the way you'd expect. The aroma draws the cat in, the moisture is delivered, and you've passively increased their water intake without a fight. Let's talk about how much water your cat actually needs, because most people have no idea, and that number is higher than you'd think. According to the Cornell Feline Health Center, cats require approximately 4 ounces of water per 5 pounds of lean body weight per day. So a 10-pound cat needs roughly 8 to 9 ounces of water daily. That's close to a full cup. And remember, this includes water from all sources, what they drink, and what they consume through their food. A healthy cat should urinate 2 to 4 times a day. If you have a tracking litter box or you're paying attention when you scoop, you should be seeing consistent output every single day. Any sustained deviation from that, fewer clumps, much smaller clumps, or noticeably darker urine over more than 48 to 72 hours is a signal to take action. Tracking your cat's water intake doesn't have to be complicated. Fill their water bowl or fountain to the same level every morning. Check it at the same time the next day. Over a few days, you'll develop a sense of how much your cat is drinking. If you suddenly notice significantly less water is disappearing than usual, that's worth paying attention to. Now let's connect some dots on the actual diseases you're preventing when you get this right. Feline lower urinary tract disease, FLUTD, is an umbrella term that covers several different conditions. Feline idiopathic cystitis, which is bladder inflammation with no clearly identifiable cause, accounts for somewhere between 55 and 60% of FLUTD cases in cats under 10 years old. Stress plays a huge role in triggering it. Changes in routine, moving to a new home, introducing a new pet, even rearranging furniture. When a stressed cat is also a dehydrated cat, the risk of a flare-up skyrockets. Urolithiasis, bladder stones and crystals, accounts for another 15 to 22% of cases. There are two main types of crystals that form in cat urine. Struvite crystals, which are made from magnesium, ammonium, and phosphate, tend to form in urine that's too alkaline. And calcium oxalate crystals, which are becoming increasingly common, tend to form in urine that's too acidic. Both form more readily in concentrated urine. Diluting the urine through proper hydration is one of the most effective ways to reduce crystal formation, regardless of type. Urethral plubs, a mixture of crystals, cells, and inflammatory material, block the urethra and are the primary cause of complete urinary obstruction. Male cats are at dramatically elevated risk due to their narrow urethra. An obstruction can be fatal within 24 to 48 hours. Treatment involves emergency catheterization at a veterinary clinic, an extremely painful procedure for the cat and an extremely expensive one for the owner, often running into the thousands of dollars. Kidney disease is another major concern, and hydration is intimately connected. Chronically dehydrated cats produce concentrated urine repeatedly over years. That concentrated urine means the kidneys are constantly working harder. Over time, this contributes to chronic kidney disease, which is one of the leading causes of death in older cats. Getting your cat drinking properly now, while they're young or middle-aged, is one of the most meaningful investments in their longevity you can make. Let me give you a complete action plan. These are the things you can do starting today, ranked roughly from easiest to most impactful over the long term. Today, right now, go get a can of tuna packed in spring water. Drain a small amount of that liquid. Add a quarter teaspoon to your cat's water bowl. Watch what happens. Most cats will be drawn to it within minutes. That's your proof of concept. That's how a small thing can make an immediate difference. This week, evaluate your bowl situation. If you're using plastic bowls, replace them with stainless steel, ceramic, or glass. Move the water bowl away from the food and litter areas. Add at least one additional water station in a different room. Make sure the bowls are wide and shallow enough that your cat's whiskers aren't touching the sides. This week also, pick up some low-sodium, onion-free, garlic-free bone broth or chicken broth. Try adding a small amount to the water, and also try adding warm water or broth to your cat's dry food. Watch their reaction. See what they respond to best. Over the next few weeks, seriously evaluate transitioning to at least partial wet food. If your cat eats exclusively dry kibble, start introducing wet food gradually. Mix a small amount in with the dry food. Let them get used to the smell and texture. Don't force it. Transition slowly. If you can get even 25% of your cat's daily food intake coming from wet food, you have meaningfully improved their hydration situation. Over the next month, consider investing in a cat water fountain. You don't have to spend a fortune. There are solid options available at the $20 to $50 range that will do the job. The key features to look for are a quiet motor, adjustable flow settings, an easy-to-clean design, and a good filtration system. Place it in a location your cat frequents, away from food and litter. Give them a few days to investigate it before deciding they don't like it. Many cats take a little time to warm up to new things. Ongoing, keep doing the skin turgor test and gum check once a month. Monitor the litter box. Notice the urine color and frequency. If something changes, investigate immediately. And build a relationship with your vet where urinary health is part of your cat's annual checkup conversation. Ask for a urinalysis at least once a year, which checks urine concentration and looks for early signs of crystals or infection before they become a problem. There's one more thing I want to talk about that most cat hydration videos completely skip, and it's the role of stress. We mentioned that stress is a major trigger for feline idiopathic cystitis, that bladder inflammation with no identifiable physical cause. And here's the thing. Indoor cats are already living in a state of low-grade environmental stress in ways we don't always recognize. A multi-cat household where the cats don't always get along, changes in the owner's schedule, loud appliances, a water bowl in a high-traffic area where your cat doesn't feel safe sitting and drinking. Yes, a cat's sense of security while drinking matters. Cats are vulnerable when they're drinking. Their head is down, their attention is focused on the bowl. If that spot feels exposed or high traffic or stressful, many cats will drink less than they should simply because they don't feel safe there. Place water stations in quieter, more sheltered spots where your cat can drink without feeling watched or threatened. Corner placements, away from heavy foot traffic, away from noisy appliances like washing machines or dishwashers. A cat who feels secure will drink more. A cat who is chronically stressed will drink less and will be more susceptible to idiopathic cystitis, even when hydration is okay. So reducing environmental stressors isn't just a comfort measure. It is genuinely a urinary health measure. All right, let's bring this all home because I know we've covered a lot of ground. Your cat is not drinking enough water. That is almost certainly true. Not because they're being stubborn or difficult, but because their entire biology was built for a different world. A world where moisture came in through prey, not through a bowl of still water sitting next to their food dish on a tile floor. We have completely changed their environment without changing their instincts, and that mismatch is silently damaging their urinary tract and kidneys every single day. But the solution is not complicated. It's not expensive, and you don't have to change everything overnight. Add some tuna water or bone broth to that bowl today. Move the bowl away from the food. Get a wider, shallower dish. Add another water station in a different room. Mix a little warm water or broth into their dry food. Start introducing wet food gradually, and when you're ready, get a fountain. These are small changes. But small changes done consistently are what keep your cat out of the emergency vet at 2 in the morning with a blocked urethra. They're what keep your cat's kidneys functioning beautifully into old age. They're what turn a cat who barely drinks into one who's properly, consistently hydrated. Your cat can't tell you they're thirsty. They can't walk up to you and say, "I'm in pain when I pee." By the time you see the signs, it's often already bad. So this is one of those situations where you have to be proactive. You have to be the one paying attention on their behalf. Do the skin turgor test today. Check the gums. Look at the litter box. And then go add something to that water bowl. Your cat is depending on you to get this right. And now you know exactly how to do it.